So my association was the more visible I get, the more I have to hold on to it, the more I have to control it, the harder it will be for me, the more I have to lose. That is what visibility represented to me. That is the responsibility that I had told myself I have to hold because of the experiences that I've had growing up. If you're listening to this and you feel like you know that your business has hit a plateau because you've hit a visibility plateau, then the question I'm going to ask you is not where are you holding back on visibility? It is what responsibility do you associate with your visibility?
Welcome to Rich Work, the podcast for established female entrepreneurs ready to turn their expertise into premium clients and consistent high-ticket revenue. I'm Rachel Pearson, global brand and business strategist, skincare obsessed, and always distracted by booking the next mini break. Here you'll learn how to position like a luxury brand, attract clients who love to invest, and build wealth that actually lasts, so you can create the business and life you want, not someone else's version of success. This is where premium positioning and building wealth meet for women who are rewriting the rules. Let's get into it.
How would it feel to speak on stage in front of 10,000 people? What about 100,000? A million? I mean, why not? Let's just go there. I don't know how it feels to speak in front of that many people. I have not done it. I'm very transparent about this. But in this week's episode, I'm going to be sharing a perspective on what it takes to hold visibility at a high level that has come from my experience working with clients, but also my own personal experience. And when I say visibility at a high level, that often means more people, but it can also mean being visible because you are getting sharper about what you communicate and clearer around your truth. And not everybody is going to understand that, accept it, or like it. And I don't mean that this is about creating content or being visible to be controversial for the sake of being controversial and getting engagement. But this is about when you don't hold back on what you believe in and when you start to share more from your truth, your opinion, that carries its weight, its own weight around visibility. And I don't think we have this conversation enough in the online space. We have lots of conversations around the importance of visibility and how to be strategic, which platforms to be on, how to use reels, how to, trick the algorithm. You can't trick the algorithm, by the way, but that's another episode. But we don't have that many conversations around what it takes to hold that, the identity around it. And that's what I'm going to bring in today. To give you some context, I have always struggled with visibility in my life and in businesses, different businesses that I've built. And it's not that I struggle with being seen or that I find it hard to stand up and talk in front of people. I actually find it easier to present and talk in front of large groups than I do in front of 20 people. I don't know. Maybe it's that I put on my equivalent of Beyonce's Sasha Fierce and I can get into that mindset of it. And it really energizes me to talk in front of a lot of people. The hard part for me is that it has had a negative association, which I've worked on a lot, but does keep coming up and bumping up. And this is what I'm going to be sharing in this week's episode. You won't have the same experience as me, but it will help you to open up and just maybe question whether you are in your strategy doing things to make you more visible, but actually there's some kind of energetic or belief that is running underneath it, which is really the thing that's holding you back. When I was growing up, so when I was around probably 10, 11 years old, I had experience, which I won't go into in today's episode because it's not my story to share, but I had an experience in my family where our family became highly visible in the press. It was known in school. I had children commenting on it when I went to school. Their parents mentioned it to me. And it was to do with a business in my family. And it was a lot of visibility that I was not personally dealing with on a mass scale, although I experienced it obviously from my parents managing it. So I had it through their filter. But because it really impacted the dynamics of my family, where we had this big amount of visibility and it was negative. It had a negative effect. And at that young age, visibility for me became very associated with threat. It became something where I associated that when you become highly visible, there has to be loss. It changed the dynamics in my family relationship. It meant loss of money. It meant loss of things, like things taken away that were part of our life before that we had, and we weren't able to make decisions in the same way. And obviously, at such a young age, that had a really strong impression on me. Now, as I've got older and grown and done a lot of work on myself, I've been aware, really, as I moved into the personal development space, really aware of how this experience has shaped or been a trigger for my visibility wound, of seeing how I associate visibility with threat, with struggle, with things have to be hard when I become more visible. And I knew that I really expand my capacity to be able to allow my visibility to grow. And so as I started to get more visible, I've continuously been working on my capacity to hold visibility. And that started off with really simple things like going live more on Instagram. And honestly, like my first lives, I was absolutely terrified. Like I have spoken in front of a C-suite of some of the biggest brands in the world. I have presented at their conferences. Like I've done all of these things, but pressing that live button scared me to death. Like my hands were shaking. I had to do it multiple times. I was getting a stress rush on my neck. Like I have really, when I say I started small, I started like baby steps. And then I moved into doing smaller events. And I also started to really look at how can I experience visibility differently? How can I reframe the association that I've got with visibility so that it has a new identity within my story? And I could start to see the power of this experience and of how empowered I could be by getting more visible. And through doing that, which I'll be honest, has taken years for me to work through, and it still pops up. It's still something that I'm very aware of, which I'm going to go into in a minute. But through doing this work, I started to see that I have, through the experience that I had in my childhood and my negative association with visibility, it's actually one of my key strengths that I have a very acute and a very intuitive understanding of the impact of high levels of visibility on the nervous system, on relationships, on family dynamics, the importance of creating safety and reassurance in your body, but also the conditions that you're setting, like the circumstances around it, to be able to have some feeling of control over visibility, whether that's what you say to yourself or the kind of boundaries that you have on social media. And I started to see that because of the experience that I'd had early on in life, I have a really nuanced way of looking at visibility that wasn't simply, oh, go out there and just become as visible as you can and your business will automatically fly. Even before I realized I was doing this, knew that working on identity to be able to hold that visibility behind the scenes was key. And it's one of the reasons why I am trusted very quickly by people that have high profiles. So celebrities or CEOs of very high pressured businesses that have a lot to lose, right? Their visibility comes with a threat to privacy. They have wealth often, which is also something which can feel really threatened. They don't have a sense of normality. And so visibility is both a driver and a necessity in their business, in their life, and in every bit of success that they've built. And it can feel the hardest thing to be able to navigate and to manage. And so as I've been doing this work to expand my capacity around visibility, a huge part of the work that I did was around how I reframed my own negative associations to visibility. That I started to see how that experience that I went through has really enabled me to do the work that I do now in high proximity with one-to-one in mastermind. But the way that I look at visibility, even the way I'm sharing on this podcast, is a strength, but I had to reframe that. And this is continuous work. This is what I really want to share in this episode, is that if you're feeling like whatever stage you're at in business or in your own visibility, this work is not, unfortunately, one and done. It's not that I have now broken through and this is like, I've associated positive things with visibility and this will never come up for me again. This is the continuous work, me strengthening the association, the positive association that I have with visibility, that I have with me standing in my truth, that I have with me being sharper in my beliefs and what I stand for, is something that I continuously connect back in with, because as you get more visible, as your business grows, you will open yourself up to more judgment, to more perception, and of your own perception as well. The stories, the triggers, they will come through too, because you are expanding into new levels of being seen by more people, by being seen by different people, doing things in arenas that you have not had experience in before, whether that is in press or on podcasts or standing on a stage in front of 1,000 people. It's the unknown of visibility that creates the sense of, I don't have certainty in this yet. But that does not mean that you need to shrink back or you need to create a new strategy around visibility. The key part for you is being able to strengthen your self-trust and your own association with what visibility brings to you. Now, I have recently had a boost in this work for myself. I had to really come into this work over the last couple of weeks because I recognized, because I'm very aware of my own patterns, I recognized that I was bumping up against a ceiling and I could feel that it was around visibility. So a couple of weeks ago, I've been going through, over the last month, I'd say, opportunities where visibility has been really on. It just feels like it's circulating me. I've had opportunities through magazines and other PR. I've been invited to record podcasts in studios. The types of clients that I'm getting inquiries from and starting to work with, they have high levels of visibility or are looking to really move to that as well. And I could feel that this was being reflected back to me, but I also feel that there was some kind of ceiling coming up in me. And I sat down, this is a couple of weeks ago, it was a Saturday morning before the boys got up and I had some rare quiet time to myself. And I got out a piece of paper and I put the word visibility in the middle. And I just started to let myself freestyle write about everything that was coming up for me. And the thing that came through was I am taming myself in my most visible channels. So what that looked like for me was I'm having conversations, I'm really direct in my client work. So with my clients, I have direct conversations with them about where I see gaps in their business, where I think that they are holding back, the limitations. I am hugely supportive as well, but I know that they've come to work with me for a reason that they want to change. So I'm direct in those conversations. I also own the level of success that I want and the ambition that I have with my clients. I do it in this podcast, which seems a bit ironic because I know this podcast could go out to millions if, that was what happened on the platform. But when I'm just sat here recording it, it just feels like it's a conversation between me and you. And I have the debrief. So I have a Telegram channel, free Telegram channel where you get unfiltered thoughts about what's going on in my business, how the work I'm doing with my clients. And there I am open. Nothing is off limits. But I was not doing this in my content and specifically in my social media content. I am on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I am on Facebook. Instagram is my primary platform, LinkedIn is my second. Facebook is sort of rising up as my third, probably will become my second platform. But I was filtering there. Even now, I was being authentic. I was not intentionally holding back, but when I look at my content and how I was showing up on social media, I can sense how I was not bringing forward my opinions, the truth of what I am here to create and what I'm here to change. And I could sense it's because that feeling, that association I have is that social media is high visibility. It's where you go to get visible for your business, and therefore it's a threat to me. So the pattern coming up for me, which I'm so aware of, is that my highest visibility channel is a thing that I'm avoiding. And so I sat there and I mapped out all this free-flowing content. It's a really good exercise if you feel challenged with something. Do not try and force yourself to write down into a structure. Go and let your brain be free. That's what we need to tap into first. And then we can go into more of, okay, let's focus on how to structure it and what you want to do from here. So I did this process and I stepped back and I was like, okay, Rachel, then what do you want to do about this? And I just felt like I need to stop hiding. I was like, okay, so what does stopping hiding look like for you? Like, this is where I'm like, I am that weirdo that just coaches myself at my kitchen table on a Saturday morning. And the thing that feels edgiest for me, or felt edgiest for me at that time, was being unapologetic about the wealth that I have and the life that I have created. So some of the things coming up for me were my edge around visibility was if I start to talk more around my lifestyle, people are going to hire me because they think I'm one of those shiny, glitzy coaches that sells really well, but then doesn't deliver. That was what was going on in my mind underneath me going, oh, maybe it's a content thing. Maybe it's my messaging. It's like, no, this is not it, right? Like love messaging, work on it a lot, but underneath it, it's a belief. It is wild, right? What your brain can do. But that was the story. And so I knew that I needed to go to that place in my content to be able to start breaking through the ceiling that I had created around visibility. And because I'd done this process of writing down everything, I had processed it myself. So I knew that this content wasn't going to be reactive. I'm not trying to just turn up and tell everybody about what's really going on and prove it, because that unprocessed emotion, that reactive place, that's felt in your content. So I knew that if I was going to go out and create this message, I knew it had to be this edge of where I didn't need to prove, but I wanted to be able to tell my truth. And I wrote this piece of content. I did a carousel. It wasn't in Canva or anything. It was just done on Instagram. I did it when I was outside. I was by the pool at my house. I was drinking a glass of wine. I hadn't had the glass of wine yet. I did the content first because, I wanted it to actually make sense. I just spoke really openly about what I'm here to do, what I'm here to change, and was the most specific that I've been about my life openly and what my Saturday had been like. And after I posted that piece of content, when I posted it, I felt sick. And I think it's important to say this because I think sometimes it's like, no, you should just go out there, be really audacious, post a piece of content, like not care what other people think. Like I can stand in my truth, but I'm also human. And I felt physically like I was going to throw up when I posted that piece of content. And I knew that it was because it was like the edge that I needed to move through. And I think a couple of minutes after I posted that piece of content, I had immediate unfollows. And I think since that, probably a couple of weeks since now I'm recording this episode, I think I've had about 35 to 40 unfollows, which I have a small audience on Instagram. I have around 4,000 followers. So it's not a massive amount of unfollows, but for my community, relative to my other posts, it's high, right? For one piece of content, that is high. And at the same time though, and it sounds ironic to say it because posting this piece of content was to break through my visibility ceiling, but it wasn't really to get more visible to more people. In time, it will. In the long game, it will, because by me coming more into my specific truth, speaking more to my specific person, I know that this will attract more of them. I have this saying that when the power of one goes to the power of many. So when you speak to one person directly, that is when you're going to start to compound because you will attract in more of those right people. But right now, it's going down. But what also happened was I had almost 100 profile visits on my Instagram from one piece of content. And which for me, from one piece of content is high. I had 3 new client inquiries for one-to-one work, which is like my highest investment. And it's not that I posted this content because I wanted to make more money. Again, if it comes from that place, it is a mirror, like you will get that mirrored back to you. But I created it from a truth of, I don't need to prove this. I'm not performing it. This is what I stand for. And I knew that that was where I was capping myself. And wherever you're capping yourself in your beliefs is also where you're capping yourself in your growth of your business every single time. So I knew that I was bumping up against this visibility ceiling and coming back into old stories, and that I needed to look at this specifically. Not going into, okay, how do I create a reel that goes viral so I can get more people in? That was not the visibility that I needed. It was where am I not owning my opinions and my brand voice and what I stand for that means that I am not currently visible to the right people. And I wanted to share my own recent experience in this episode because this side of visibility is not what is sold online, right? Especially when you are looking to attract in a higher level of client, a higher investment level, a high level client, whatever you want to call them, but a client who is willing and able and desires to spend higher amounts of money because they want a specific result. They have a specific problem. They're looking for leadership that reflects that back to them. You do not need to be controversial or have people dislike you or create hate comments in order for people to pay you a lot of money. And that is the story, the narrative that I'm seeing go around online. What I'm saying is different. Did I have people that didn't agree with me from that post? Yes. Did I have people that unfollowed me? Yes. Will they continue to unfollow me? Probably, right? That's what business is. But I didn't set out to piss people off so much and have a spicy opinion that would mean that I'm really controversial, that would get me more visibility. Like, that's not the visibility that I'm looking for. And this isn't to shame people that do this kind of highly controversial, they know that it's going to create this sort of rage reaction. It's their way of doing it. But what I'm saying is you do not have to do it that way. I believe that you do have to go to the edges of your truth and call out your own bullshit when you know that you're holding back on saying something publicly that you would say to somebody if they were in a room with you. If you're having a conversation with your clients, but you're not sharing that through your content, there is a disconnect. But you do not, in my view, have to become overtly controversial, change how you'd speak, change the things that you would say to be seen at a high level of leadership to attract in a certain level of client. That's not what this is about. Leadership is about unwavering truth. It is about unwavering certainty. So I don't actually think that anybody is challenged with visibility. I think they can be challenged with how consistent they are with their content. But again, I think that there's beliefs that sit behind that. There can be challenges with, technology and how do you create a reel that works with the algorithm and all that kind of jazz. But putting that aside, I don't think that if somebody says, I really struggle to show up with visibility, I think there's a different question to ask yourself. And that is, what have you associated with that visibility? And that is what is going to bring you back into your truth. And it is also going to open up a different way of you talking in your content, of tapping into those, what will probably be more controversial opinions, will have an edge, will be the things that get unfollows or that get comments with people that don't agree with you. But it's not from a place of let me be spicy and let me stand out. It's from a place of this is my truth that I have been holding back and I'm not willing to do that anymore. So my association was the more visible I get, the more I have to hold on to it, the more I have to control it, the harder it will be for me, the more I have to lose. That is what visibility represented to me. That is the responsibility that I had told myself I have to hold because of the experiences that I've had growing up. If you're listening to this and you feel like you know that your business has hit a plateau because you've hit a visibility plateau, then the question I'm going to ask you is not where are you holding back on visibility? It is what responsibility do you associate with your visibility? Is it responsibility around holding success? Is it responsibility around failure? Is it responsibility around what other people perceive about you? Who does she think she is? She's changed. God, she sounds arrogant. She's talking about money all the time. What is that responsibility? And then what is that perception that you have created for yourself that means that you're not showing up in your truth? That is what I'm going to leave you with, that one question, because if you can start to untangle that, then you can separate out the emotion of it. You can see it as a story, a belief that you are holding on to, and therefore you get to look at it objectively. And then you get to decide what you put in place so that it doesn't become your truth anymore. Whether that is creating more safety in your body when you show up, reminding yourself that you do not need to carry that responsibility. Whether that is creating some boundaries around what you do choose to share and what you don't choose to share as you get more visible. There are so many different ways that you can do this, but you have to get clear on the responsibility that you are no longer willing to carry and that is capping you from getting more visible and growing your business with the right clients, that is holding you back from sharing your truth that somebody will hire you and pay you highly for. I would love to know in the comments anything that this has sparked for you. And of course, if you are open to leaving a review, I always appreciate it because this helps Rich Work to get in front of more of the right women. But for now, I'm Rachel Pearson. This has been Rich Work, and I will see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Rich Work. I'd love it if you left a review. It helps other women to find us. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at rachelpearson.co for a different take on premium positioning, one that's not about fitting a box. See you next week.